Well, if we're gonna find any ghosts, we better split up.
You're listening to Never Split Up, a horror movie podcast.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back once again to the Never Split Up podcast. This is episode 98, and we are covering Saw 3, released in 2006. I'm Nolan, along with Anthony. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's crazy to find out that this movie's almost 20 years old. I feel really old.
Yeah, I know. 19 years old. It's crazy. Saw 3. We covered the first two over the last couple years around Halloween season. We also did a franchise ranking, so really excited to get back into this world. So if anyone has watched the franchise ranking, they'll kind of know our overall thoughts on this movie, but I'm really excited to kind of dive in to the nitty-gritty of this film and cap off the original trilogy for Saw.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, the original trilogy is, spoiler alert, my favorite in the franchise, so this will be a good one to get into and wrap up the OG trilogy, which is near and dear to my heart.
Yes, for sure. Before we started, did you have anything you wanted to touch on, talk about? I think I'm good. Did you want to just shout out the last couple episodes?
Yeah, guys, so the last couple weeks we had some biggies. We dropped at the end of the summer our Jaws episode. Make sure you guys check that out. And then to coincide with the release of The Conjuring Last Rites, we covered the OG of The Conjuring, so if you missed that one, check it out. And then our most recent episode was a ranking episode, and you guys loved those episodes, and we ranked our top 10 favorite creature features, so that was a fun one to do. So if you missed out, I know everything was crazy with back to school and end of summer, go check those out. And now we're in the thick of spooky season, so we have so many goodies coming your way. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube and get ready for some fun.
Yes, touche. We are releasing this episode the week we're recording this on the 22nd. So this is going to be our last episode in September. And then we talked about it last week. We have our big 100th episode coming up. But first, we have our 99th. Next week, it's going to be released, I believe, October 1st. That's going to be Halloween Kills. So We're going to continue our Blumhouse trilogy. We did the original Halloween, obviously. We did 2018, and now we're going right to Kills. So that's going to be a really fun episode. And I think we can announce, right? It's confirmed that we're having Phil back on. So he's going to be back on to talk Halloween with us.
Phil from Phil at the Movies. We love him. He's a great guy. And he's not only into horror, but he's loves and obsessed with Halloween. That's his favorite horror franchise. So we thought it would be fitting to have him back on for that. Because we've been kind of coordinating with him the last couple of years with some episodes on both of our podcasts. So it'll be fun to have another perspective for, divisive entry in the trilogy. And we love different opinions, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. We've had him on a few times now on the podcast, and he, I believe, was on for our 2018 coverage, Halloween 2018 coverage, right?
I think he was on our franchise ranking, which was epic.
Oh, the franchise ranking. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, either way, we're excited to have him back and talk all things Halloween, so that's going to be really fun. And then the week after, like I said, is going to be our 100th episode. We're covering a biggie. It's a movie that we both love. It's Hereditary. So stick around for that. And then we're just going to be in the thick of October. So it's flying by. I can't believe September's almost over already. It just
I know.
like
it goes by too fast. I know.
Every year this happens. It's crazy. Okay, without further ado, let's get into Saw 3 then. We can start with the cast crew as always. Ant, you want to take us through that?
All right, so the IMDb synopsis is Jigsaw abducts a doctor in order to keep himself alive while he watches his new apprentice put an unlucky citizen named Jeff through a brutal test. It was directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who also directed Saw 2, Saw 4, and Spiral. It was written by Lee Whannell and James Wan, and it stars our guy Jigsaw Tobin Bell, Shawnee Smith as Amanda, Bahar Sumek, she plays Lynn, the lead actress in the movie. Angus McFadden, he's Jeff. We have a nice appearance from Donnie Wahlberg again. Dina Meyer, my girl, she's back as Carrie. We have like a cameo from Lee Whannell as well as Adam. We're introduced to Betsy Rutzel as Jill, and Costas Mandylor as Hoffman is in this one too. So pretty big cast for the original trilogy. And like Nolan said, it came out in 2006, and it continued the trend of the franchise doing really well. So it grossed 165 million worldwide on a $10 million budget. So still keeping the budgets in check and seeing a great return on their investment. So I'm really excited to get into this one. I love me everyone knows I love a trilogy, a cohesive trilogy, and Saw very much has that with this third installment. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when this one was coming out, we were already had the first two Saw movies, and it was becoming like an event every year. And I remember seeing this in theaters, and it's just like I said, by then it was like you were expecting just craziness, and the theater never disappointed back then,
right.
Going like opening weekend, opening night. So this was definitely a fun time for us horror fans going to see these Saw movies. And it's funny watching these in theaters almost 20 years later now, Saw 3, and I would have never guessed that they would have so much staying power. Like,
yeah.
I enjoyed them at the time, but the fact that we're still talking about them this so many years later is just, and they're still making them. I mean, look at Saw X, just did incredible. It's really cool to see, especially for a franchise that back then a lot of people would stick their nose up and just say, oh, it's just gore and splatter, and it's not meaningful. So it's really
so
cool
funny
to see the horror
because they got gorier as they went on.
Yeah, I know. Okay, let's dive right in then. Let's do overall
sweet.
thoughts, recommendations, and then we can get into the movie. I'll let you go first on your overall thoughts.
Sweet.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously I recommend Saw 3. I am obsessed with Saw 2, and Saw 3. I feel like, I love the franchise. I'm not one of those, like, stuck up people. Like, I get it. It's a fun horror franchise, but it goes, to me, it goes off the deep end after 3. I really feel like the first 3 are something truly special. I feel like it's always been the original trilogy and then the other ones. And it's funny because looking at this one as a standalone and following part 1 and part 2, I'm like, this is everything I want in like a final chapter of a trilogy. Pretty much everyone dies. I mean, crazy shit happens. It goes balls to the wall. But then if you take a step back from my perspective, I feel like the rest of the franchise doesn't live up to 3, 2, and 1 because every character I was invested in is pretty much taken away from me after the finale of this movie. So it's kind of interesting for me to look at it like I think this is a banger, but I think it would be like one of the best trilogy cappers if it did end at 3. Like, again, I'm fine with the rest of the franchise. I'm happy it happened, but everyone I loved is pretty much taken out, and that's always been one of my critiques of the later installments, is that like they didn't let Jigsaw just go out. Like, they had to go back to him for the rest of the franchise and have appearances from Tobin Bell because that was their bread and butter. So I feel like looking at it from that perspective, I'm like, you shouldn't have killed them. You shouldn't have killed Amanda. I love them. But also I'm like, that's ballsy to do that. You killed everybody. And I love that. But when you take a step back, it's like, should they have done that? Because that was their heartbeat of the franchise. So that's my issues with the rest of the franchise. But as just to standalone part 3, I absolutely love it. I think the twists, again, of the first 3 are the best of the franchise. The rest are good, but they don't live up to the first 3. This one's not as good as part 1 and part 2 with the twist, but it's still awesome. I love how it wraps everything up. I love the dun 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 at the end. I think it's a really cool twist. I mean, this one's a little different because we have a character who actually lost his son. 2 characters who lost their son, who we don't find out that they're connected till the end, but we have him going through this kind of, obstacle course and interacting with people who pretty much were responsible for his son's death. So that's a cool moral dilemma to kind of be dealing with in this one. I think that Tobin Bell's best performance as Jigsaw is my favorite in Saw 2. I think he's, again, delivers great work. This is the last time we see, John Kramer in the present time, alive within the timeline. And I love that so much, seeing him in the flesh alive. He's always great. I think that this is my favorite Shawnee Smith performance in the franchise. I love how in this one we get her in the beginning, how we think she's so confident and she's like, this is badass, like kooky villain stuff she's doing. But then she has so many layers, and Shawnee Smith is still able to show us that she is still that fragile, unhinged, act on impulse character she's always been, even though we think that she's, this ultimate villain in this one when she really isn't. She's still such a fragile person, and it might make her scary because you don't know what she's going to do at any given moment because she's so fucking on edge at all times. So love them together. I love how you see their relationship. Won't get into spoilers, we'll get into it, but I like how you find out how many people Jigsaw was actually testing in this movie. I think is fantastic. I think that this one does start leaning into the torture aspect, that the later installments are known as just torture porn, which I don't care. It's a horror. I want to see gore. I want to see Saw's about torture. I love it. But this is where we start getting into the torture aspect, but I still think that the set pieces are handled so well. So they take the violence up a notch from part 2 and part 1, but they still keep it as mostly a mystery and like the aspects of the first 2 that we love, but they just amp up the gore for us horror lovers, which I absolutely am obsessed with. There's some scenes in this one that still get me like, oof. We'll talk about the chain scene from the opening 10 minutes, but it gets me. One of my favorite, but my only issue is that some of my favorite characters, they're taken out too early or they're not present as much. I love my girl Carrie. We'll get into the movie, but I feel like she was almost wasted just for a gotcha, like, mic drop moment. I wish she was in it more, but overall, this is a fucking banger. I think that this cohesive trilogy together, is all-timer. And while the other movies in the franchise are fun, there's just nothing like part 1, 2, and 3. So I'm really excited to get into it because I absolutely adore part 3, and I love how it wrapped it up. I guess I was going to say for the time being, but really just wrapped it up for a year because we had it's Halloween, It Must Be Saw for so many years consecutive in a row. But yeah, I love this one. It's great. I'm obsessed with it.
Okay, interesting. So you kind of have two sides of the coin. You talked about how that they didn't kill off the characters, but you're also really happy with the way it ends, and it's kind of wrapped up neatly. So would you rather them have ended the franchise at 3 and we don't get any of the sequels, or would you rather them not kill all of the characters like Jigsaw and keep going? What was your preference?
My thing, for me, I really think this is a perfect trilogy. I would have been fine if it ended at 3, but I can't tell them the end of that because I love my favorite franchises, Halloween and Scream. I'm happy that they're still going on. So I get people love this franchise, but I think they should. I love Tobin Bell, but I feel like he should have just been left alone after part 3 if they kept going on, because I feel like it takes away, because it's like they're like, oh, we gotta go back to him. He just went out, like, he tested someone, literally hit fucking press play, fuck you, on his deathbed after his throat was slit. Like, that's awesome. So I feel like they kind of like had their cake and eat it too with later installments. So that's why with this one, it's hard I judge it like as the part 3, but then when I watch, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah, 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 I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I had my couple characters. I wish I had Carrie, because I loved her. I love that detective. She was in the original trilogy. I absolutely am obsessed with her, and she's wasted
for her. Like,
wasted.
I didn't realize you were such a Carrie.
And I feel like maybe they could have just killed one Jigsaw or Amanda and then save them if the franchise went, because those are my two biggies of the franchise, and again, we don't see them in the flesh again until Saw 10, and that's really a prequel as well. So I kind of think that they could have had their franchise but leave what happened in the past. But I also think it would have been awesome if they just left it at 3. And again, I like the villain that takes on, but
all right.
you know what I mean?
I disagree on both fronts. I think that the reason that they killed them off was valid for the time being, because they thought they were going to wrap it up in a bow, and then it made a ton of money like the first 2, so they're like, oh, we got to keep going. I think the reason it has so much staying power and there's so many like avid fans of this franchise is because they have their cake and eat it too, and it's turned into this
crazy
horror soap opera. It drives you crazy, but it's the reason why I feel like one of the main reasons why this franchise is so beloved. So I personally lean into it. I love it. I couldn't wait for a new sequel to figure out how Jigsaw was still making traps after his death and all that. I loved those big reveals at the end. It's kind of one of the only reasons, especially some of the later sequels, that you kind of were interested, was the through line of how it all connects to the first couple movies. So I guess I'm going to disagree with you there. Saw 3 for me, we talked about, we did the franchise rankings. It was number 5 for me, so it was like kind of right in the middle, top half of my rankings. And I rank Saw as one of my favorite franchises of all time, horror franchises of all time. So I do love this film. I think it's awesome. There are like some nitpicks I have, kind of similar to you, just stuff that doesn't like ruin my experience, but I say to myself, it would have been nice to see more of this character or less of this character, or they balance it. But that's just like personal preference. I hate Jeff. I think Jeff
He's
is
so stupid.
the least likable character. He is a walking, talking, never split up moment in my eyes. Every time I watch this film, every time he appears, you want to feel bad for him because of his tragic backstory, but
Yeah.
he's so friggin' dumb in a crisis that it's like really hard to root for him. So that's always fun. It's kind of fun though to root against him though, but you're also like trying to see what's going to happen. And I agree with you. The twist is definitely not as good as the first two. I think it's a solid twist though. How many moving parts there are. I think watching 4 really brings it together because you have like the added twist that plays off of 4 and 3, which we won't get into because it's a spoiler, but there's another character that's involved, obviously. One of my faves. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Shawnee Smith delivers an amazing performance as Amanda Young. This is probably her movie, her time to shine, because John Kramer is bedridden the whole movie. And while John Kramer still gets his monologues in there, especially at the end, he's not doing much because he's literally bedridden. So Amanda Young is kind of doing a lot of the scene work and stuff and the behind the scenes of the traps. We get a lot of flashbacks with her, and we get revealed a lot of stuff about Amanda's character. So this is kind of her movie. I know you said Lynn Denlin is like the main. I consider Amanda Young kind of the main of this film because it really is about her story. Lynn is just kind of, we find out, is just really a test for her. So I think the traps are good. I think it's one of the reasons why it's maybe not in my top 3. I think they're a little hit and miss. I think there's really cool traps, but there's also a couple traps. I counted, we only have like 5 real traps in the whole movie, which doesn't sound like it's a little, but for a Saw sequel, it's kind of light. A couple of them are kind of, I wouldn't say not memorable, but not the best. I actually think that the surgery scene, the skull surgery scene, is one of the more graphic scenes in the whole film.
Oh, really?
I'm, like, closing my eyes. Oh my God, yeah. You don't agree? I mean, that scene is hard to watch, man. That's one of the best gory scenes in the film, more than some of the other traps. So I think the traps are decent. Like I said, I do have some nitpicks that we'll go through as we go through the film, but like you said, it's a very solid third entry. And
it's great.
The ending is wild. It's heartbreaking. It's, you're kind of rooting for some of your favorite characters to make it, and pretty much none of them make it. So it's very
everybody dies.
It's very bleak in that regard. So
I love that.
Okay, yeah, let's get into it then.
So what you said, this was your number 5, right, in the franchise ranking?
Yeah,
I believe this is my number 3 in my franchise ranking. It's literally 3, 1, 2, my top 3. And just quick on Jeff, I feel like I remember when this came out, everyone was like, fuck Jeff. But as I rewatched, I'm like, he's such a fucking dumbass, and like he doesn't just think. But I do give them the benefit of at least put it like smart enough to put in the script that obviously why he's in the headspace, obviously losing your kid's the worst thing imaginable in the world. So I do give him a slight pass for that, but every time I watch it, I'm still like, dude, like fucking focus on the task at hand, like you're not paying attention. So I just want to give them a shout out that like at least they put in the work of like not just having a dumb character for the movie's sake, like you know what I mean?
It's funny you used that term before, have your cake and eat it too. I feel like this is Jeff. Jeff wants to have his cake and eat it too.
Oh my God. Exactly.
He wants to reflect in these rooms and like give his monologue and his speech and like yell at these people, but then he slowly tries to save them. It's like, dude, if you really want to save them, just leave it. Yeah, like now's not the time. Either save them or let him die. I would have respected him if he just said, fuck you, I'm letting you die.
Right.
But the fact that he was so slow with everything, it's like you're screaming
I feel
at the
like
screen.
If he did that for maybe like the first 2 and then immediately went in on like the last one or whatever and been like, okay, I'm going to fucking like, I know the deal by now. Like, you're an asshole for what you did, but let's get to the bottom of this, or I'm just gonna watch you die. I feel like that, but the fact that they did it almost in like every trap, I feel like that was a little repetitive. But I still am like, you get a little pass.
Well, especially because the first trap he encounters is the freezer room, and it's literally just a lady that was like a witness. She had nothing to do with
She fled the scene.
accident.
She did flee. She fled the
She
scene.
had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's like, if that was such a gimme, it was the easiest trap. All he had to do was just get a little freezer burn on his cheek to grab.
Yeah,
the
that
key.
was gnarly. I love that.
that was freaking ridiculous. Yeah.
So, what did you think about the brief appearance? Again, this is like one of my favorite characters of Eric Matthews. Like, I was like, oh, he's here, and then I'm like, he's taken away. He doesn't die in this one, but he's not in it much.
Yeah.
But I do like how he's the opening scene.
This
throw
is cool.
back to
I
the
love
first
how-
one.
Okay, yeah, I love how they kind of pick up right where they left off in Saw 2, and it's kind of a continuation of that film. And it's now you're seeing it kind of through Amanda's POV and Amanda's eyes. I think
Love that.
I love when movies do that, and they kind of give you a different perspective on something you already saw. I think that's really cool that's a cool way to pick up this film, and it lets the audience know that, okay, we're in this ride with Amanda, it looks like, and Amanda's going to be kind of an important character. So yeah, it was cool. It was really cool to see Donnie Wahlberg come back, and again, Saw does a really good job. Even though you know people have gripes with them killing off characters and bringing them back, there's always a through line. And they always are bringing back returning actors who are always on board, it seems like, to reprise their roles. I mean, you look at some of even the later sequels with Jigsaw and Saw 3D, we get characters coming back, and it's like, holy crap, how the hell did they get that guy? You know, so that's the one thing that Saw has always been good with, is even if they're killing off a character or a character's written off, they can always bring them back some way, and the actor, it seems like, is always down to do it. So it's really cool to see our boy Eric Matthews return. And like you said, it's not the end of him either.
Yeah, it's not until, obviously we have one more installment with him. But I like how, to give credit to this one, which I do love this movie. I love this trilogy. I like how, much like a lot of final chapters in a trilogy, it goes back to the beginning and shows you, like, you thought it went that way, and then you really find out, like, Amanda's bringing Adam and Gordon in the bathroom. I like how we see the flashbacks of Amanda doing her work that coincide with what happened in part 1 and part 2 while I was going. I thought that was very clever, and that's very important to me. In a final chapter, you find out something you didn't know from the beginning, but I feel like they blended that very organically into this one, and I appreciated that. That to me is like the good writing of this one, those sequences.
Yeah, that was one of I actually think that might be one of, if not my favorite reveal in the film, is to reveal that Amanda Young from the get-go was in cahoots with John Kramer. That was a really cool, because you get Saw 2, you get the reveal of Saw 2, it's like, okay. But then Saw 3 makes you remember and realize, like, Amanda's trap, her bear trap, was prior to everything. So she was able to help John from literally jump in the beginning of Saw 1, which is really cool for them to bring it all the way back there. Is a really cool reveal. That's probably one of my favorite reveals to see her kind of, it's her first, like, time working with John, and John's got the special effects in the bathroom. He's getting ready to lay down, and Amanda's, you can see how conflicted Amanda is because she's so fresh to this, and I think it was a really cool angle to add.
And it's almost like, as an audience, you're like, oh, duh, he was ill the whole time. Of course, like, he had to help her the entire time. So I like how, like, that felt very natural to me. I also like in this one how Amanda is, obviously, you said that, John Kramer is very bedridden, so he's very, very ill in this one, not like, anywhere near part 1 or part 2. He's on his way out. And I do like how, because again, one of the issues I have with John Kramer, I love him, icon, one of the best villains, but he doesn't own it as being a murderer. He's like, I've never murdered anyone in my life. I'm like, dude, like, you're come on, you're a murderer, you're complicit, like, there's 99.9% chance that people are not going to make it out. You're the reason why they're in this predicament. So I love on the flip side how Amanda's like, I'm going to fucking own it, and I'm going to be a fucking bitch, and you're not making it out of these traps. We find out, like, when the detectives in the beginning, the, opening 15 minutes, how the guy in the chains was never going to make it out because the door was locked. Like, we find out all these things where she made it so it's a death trap no matter what you do. And I fucking appreciate that about Amanda because she owns her shit as being a murderer.
That. Okay.
I like that about
I've ever heard that. Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah,
okay.
you're a villain. I love it. You're taking ownership. I love it. But And she calls him out. She literally calls John out. She's like, I'm no different than you. He's like, you're a murderer. She's like, you do the same thing, motherfucker. I love that. I love that.
I that's an interesting perspective that you said. Kind of, she quote unquote owns it. I look at it a little differently. That she is just has different motivations than John. I mean, she's out for blood. I mean, John is, say what you want about John Kramer, but he truly believes in the message that he's trying to convey. I mean, he's not a liar. He really does believe that he's not like this sadistic murderer and that he's trying to help people. So I think it's just a disconnect there where Amanda's like, this isn't what's going on. I mean, we're killing people and we're teaching them a lesson in the process. So I think it's just a different way of looking at how she treats victims. I agree. She owns it in a sense because she realizes like, no, we're killing these people, but John, has this kind of higher ground where he thinks he's better than her because, he's letting these people live. He let Amanda live. He's like, he even says like, look how it turned out for you. You're my greatest success story. So it is funny to see that kind of the duality of it and how she was a survivor, but she's not going to afford that to anyone else, which I think is pretty interesting.
That's why I love oh my God, I fucking love my girl Amanda. That's why I'm like, yeah, you sinister bitch, I love you. But I do like how, again, like she's not this like all-timer, but like we see in the beginning, I love how she's like pushing her around the wheelchair, like acting like a kooky villain. I love that. But you see as the movie goes on, she still has that, like, he didn't really fix her, John. She still has that turmoil. That's why he's testing her again in this movie, ultimately at the end. So I love that about her, that she's such a, complex character. And that's what I love in my characters and my villains. And I kind of love how she's our focus of the movie along with Lynn. They have the parallels between them two. They're really like they're really going head to head the whole movie. Yeah. And Lynn doesn't back down either. She's like, to her credit, she's a little snippy with Amanda. She's like, I need this if you want my help, and back off pretty much. But like, she's not scared. Like, she's not a helpless victim, Lynn, either. She's really like taking a stand. So I appreciate that character. So what do you think about the opening where they pretty much get rid of the detectives and it's all about them? You never had a big any feelings towards Carrie? I fucking loved her in every installment.
Yeah, no, Carrie for me is okay. She was never really a big factor for me with these original films. I was kind of I watched these films for John and for Amanda specifically. So I mean, she's good. I mean, I don't dislike her, but I don't think it bothered me as much as you that she kind of she got it in this film. So let's go through the traps. We have to cover a couple traps real quick. Classroom trap that you talked about,
Troy,
with the chains. That one's pretty solid. I think that's a pretty cool opening trap for a film where it's not like overly grotesque or crazy, but it's got the hooks. I mean, the hook in the mouth and all over his limbs.
It's pretty grotesque and crazy when he starts ripping them out and shit.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's surface wounds, right? I mean, it's through the skin. It's not like he's breaking off arms and stuff. I mean, it gets pretty gnarly in these movies. So I thought it was a good, solid opening trap, though. This is one of the better ones in the film, I think.
Yeah, I agree. This one's very intense. I remember like seeing this in a packed house opening night on a Friday, and everyone was like cringing at the right moments and screaming when he was trying to like rip him out. It was very, very well played. I think the two traps back to back in the opening like are some of the best of the movie. So I almost feel like it blew its load a little too early, but then I do think the final trap is like pretty gnarly too. But the first two really stand out for me. I guess my poor girl Carrie is the next trap.
Yeah, these two stand out particularly because they're not part of Jeff's game either. They're kind of like
I agree.
Classic Jigsaw trap where it's just them against the clock. They're all alone. They kind of figure out how to escape. So yeah, these two traps. I mean, this one takes it up a notch. The ribcage trap.
My poor girl. Of course, she had to get it the worst too.
I know.
I do like this scene before when she gets when we see her. I don't know if it's a hotel room or her actual house. It kind of seems like a hotel to me, but whatever, or an apartment. But I like the build up of her like going to the closet and seeing that like she's being videoed. She's watching the tapes, and then the camera goes on her. I thought that was really cleverly done. Again, to me, that's going to be a never split up moment because that's my girl. She's a cop. She should know better. But I like how we see her in the TV, like waving her hand. Then Amanda comes up behind her. I thought that was really creepy and well done. And then my poor girl has her death scene with the acid and the rib cage. It's pretty gnarly stuff. And I like how Amanda is such a bitch. She walks up so she can see her before she gets killed. She's like, it was you. And then Amanda just like, yeah, bitch, it was me. And then she dies. Oh, I wish.
Yeah, but we don't see that actually right away.
We don't see it. We just see someone walking up. So yeah.
Also, early on, this franchise is known for it, but particularly in these first 3 movies, they're not as over the top. The transitions are still top tier in this film.
They're so good.
They're so
good. Yeah, by the
this
time you get to 5, really it's like
transitions.
What's going on? No, I always.
By the time you get to 5, it's like a thing. It's
it's like we're fully in on the tongue-in-cheek gimmick by that point. Yeah. But I agree. I think I like this one. I feel like Darren Lynn Bousman. I mean, 2 and 3 are my favorites. Some of my favorites in the franchise. I think he really killed it. It's so baffling to me how he did like 2, 3, and 4, and then like did Spiral, which was like nowhere, like didn't have any really similarities tone-wise, and even aesthetic-wise to the original trilogy. I guess on purpose, but I was like, wah with that. But yeah, I think that these first 2 traps are pretty gnarly, and again, I always got the gut punch when Carrie went. Because I do think it would have been cool if you had like a detective through line throughout the entire franchise. Obviously, Eric Matthews doesn't last much longer, so I feel like she was a cool one to have because she was in the OG too, and Eric Matthews wasn't. So I feel like it would have been cool to have her for a little bit longer. But that was a gut punch. I remember the first time, like, no, you're taking away my person. So good death scene though. It got me.
Yeah. So, I like Lynn more than Jeff. I actually really enjoy the 100%. the scenes in the operation, the operation room, we'll call it, with John.
Yeah.
But no, not even that. Just with John and everything. And I think that she is a really sympathetic character, and I find myself rooting for her. And there's some very anxious scenes where John is like, you think he's gonna die, and not only do you want John to live because he's John Kramer, but you really feel for this girl Lynn, and
right.
You can tell she does well, the actress, because you could tell that she's had experience in crisis, like working in an ER in a hospital.
Right.
So she kind of knows what to do, and she's the one who's wrangling Amanda in because Amanda's so emotional at all times.
Right.
So, like you said before, I like that kind of dynamic that they have. Those 2 women trying to keep John alive, I think is really cool. Yeah, I mean, definitely more sympathetic than Jeff. I think that's a consensus. I don't think anyone is really a fan of Jeff, which is really a shame. This is one of the big, I think, pitfalls of this film that could take it over the top, because the script is so solid, and they do introduce this dad who has lost his son, has a daughter still, is kind of just like super depressed, checked out.
Right.
We get some glimpse into his home life where he's like a complete asshole to his daughter, like totally doesn't even, right. Like she takes the teddy bear and he like scolds her. I really wish they played this character a little bit more kind of sympathetic, because I really think he could have been an all-time tragic character, but he's just not likable in the least. So you get those home scenes where he's a shitty dad to his daughter, and then you get the traps, his tests where he's just a complete dumbass too, and it's really hard to root for him. So I really wish that they kind of treated his character with a little more care, and they made it so we were rooting for him a little bit more. I think it would have paid off more greatly. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I feel like they gave all the nuance and like sympathy to Lynn, because we do end up finding out at the end that she obviously did something, like she was cheating on him, blah blah blah, all this stuff. So I feel like they made her so sympathetic, so you found out that one thing about her, it wasn't going to do a complete 180 to her. But I feel like they should have gave Jeff in the script the same care they gave Lynn.
Yeah.
Because like you said, again, there's no one to say how you're going to respond to that huge life event, happening to you. That's your kid going. But I feel like even if he was such an asshole to his daughter in the beginning, and he handled that as turning into like a monster himself, I feel like throughout the movie and throughout, the little set pieces and the tests, I feel like at least with each, kill and test, he should have taken something from it, and it should have like developed a character arc for him a little bit, where like you said, each kill scene, it's almost like rinse repeat what he goes through. Like he doesn't learn very much until it's too late at the very end, but he already did that like in every test. So I feel like they could have like handled him with a little more care, but I also can't fault him to the max because of what he just lost. But I feel like you're in a high pressure situation. You gotta do what you gotta do for your daughter. And obviously he fails at that because he's not able to save his daughter because he can't control his emotions in the very end, which is the whole point. But I do agree. I think they could have at least done a little bit more with him. You could have still made him, an idiot in a more natural way and reacting to this and have the same outcome, but you could have just handled the actual character of him a little better. A little bit better.
Yeah, I think it would have been beneficial if, Jigsaw let him know that his daughter was kidnapped. I don't think he knew the
not till the very end. Yeah, not till the very end.
So that could have been a layer to where he's playing for his daughter, and they could have tried to structure the traps to where, like, if he lets these people die, I don't know. It could have been a little bit more muddied, but it was just like literally, all right, you're in here because, your son died and
testing
you need
it,
to seek justice. And it's like, I don't know. I wish they could have added a little bit more depth to him and made him a little bit more sympathetic. So we kind of agree with that. So the freezer room, the first trap that he enters, this poor girl literally gets frozen to death, and she's confused as hell. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on. She's butt naked, and here's Jeff like just having an existential crisis. It's like, dude, now's not the time, man.
Yeah.
All he has to do, he doesn't even, you know what bothers me particularly about this scene is he doesn't even grab the key until it's too late. He could have at least grabbed the key right away and then figured out, all right, am I going to save myself or save her? But he just freezes for so long, pun intended. Yeah, and he lets this poor lady freeze to death. It's like, oh my god, man.
I will say they did put in the work because she really had to, she was like begging forever. She really persuaded him to not freeze and like get into action by a certain point. So I will say, again, from his perspective, he went in, he realizes who that bitch is. Like, she refused to test. What did she like? Refused to testify in a court. Or was like the only witness. So I feel like I get in the beginning, he's like, oh, this is what my test is. Like, I'm gonna let you die. I'm gonna watch you like you just watched my son and just went away. So I get that part of it, but I also think it's funny how, like you said, just get the key and just go into the next room then. At that point, if you want to let her die, like just keep going.
It's funny because I almost feel the opposite as you. I feel like he should have saved her right away, and then as the tests go on, he becomes more numb to it, and he could like start being more conflicted. But no, he's just an asshole right from jump. I mean, literally the first opportunity he gets, he's like, I don't know if I'm going to save you. And then he's too late and he doesn't save her.
He's like taunts her a little bit even.
yeah, he does. I know. It's almost like he doesn't believe it's real. Like he thinks this is just like one big joke almost. Like he doesn't realize that this is a human life that he's going to let die,
Yeah, no, but I do like this set piece. I think it's cool when you actually see her full body frozen. Like, oh, that was really well done. The practical effects, and again, practical effects. We're still doing practical effects in the Saw movies. That was awesome. I like that a lot. And that was a disturbing one. That wasn't bloody. It was just like you feel for them because it's like they're going through hypothermia. She's literally, that actress does really good. Like the way she shivers and her lips and everything. And the way she pleads with him is very well done. So while it wasn't bloody, it was still
probably
disturbing.
Actually was freezing.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
they had yeah.
So
she got a good payday for that. But I thought that was really good. I like that scene a lot.
Yeah, I did too. I did too. It's not the coolest trap per se, the trap itself, but
no,
I think the anxiety was there, like you said. Her performance kind of amped that anxiety up for sure. Yeah.
What do you think about the judges trapped? Who he's obviously more responsible than the witness. He did some sketchy shit too. And again, like you said, Jeff does the same routine again, like yells at him, takes a step back, but he actually does save the judge in this sequence.
Yeah, this one was pretty gross.
Oh,
it's like, oh god, you can't think about it too much.
And being claustrophobic, like being chained to the neck at the bottom like that, like I would have a pain. I would die of a heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because you again, Jeff, like you said, like the first trap, he the judge is making some good points. He's pleading for his life, and he's like, what I sentenced him to doesn't matter. Like, you're still gonna feel that. Like, please, like I'm a father. I have kids. Like, you have to help me. And then he stops talking for a while. when Jeff is trying to get the key, and you think he's dead, and Jeff is still taking his sweet time, and he doesn't even know if he's dead or not, or if he's underwater or submerged or not. And it's like, dude, man, like, just kill him if you want. If you don't want to save him, you don't have to.
I get the dilemma, but I'm just like, Jeff, make a choice either way.
Yeah.
What was the thing where he had to like? This is the one where he had to like burn his kid's like teddy bear if he got the key. Like, was that this one? I'm like, okay, that's like get like a little bit like, all right, so you feed into his trauma a little bit, like his losing something else from his son. Again, hokey, but I'm like, I get that, but still like. You got to make your decision. Like, let him die or not. And that for the fucking pig carcasses were fucking nasty. It looked so good. They looked really good, but it was nasty.
They did.
Him like drowning in it. Ugh.
Yeah,
disgusting.
The guts. Yeah,
disgusting.
But this one is straight up like, okay, if you let this guy die, it's because you wanted him to die.
Oh yeah,
there was no personal injury involved for Jeff. Right. It was literally a teddy bear versus.
He presses a button and incinerates it or not.
Yeah. So he kind of had no excuse to not save this guy.
And I feel like for us as an audience, like, okay, we have to have him do this because then we would completely like be rooting for Jeff's death if this guy doesn't make it out alive. Yeah. Not that he's not likable anyway, but like if he let that guy die, we'd really be like, all right, Jeff, like all you had to do is press a fucking button.
Well, we've seen nothing yet because we think that's a never split up moment. I mean, the next room when he does do the 2-for-1 is
this trap's awesome though. This trap's awesome.
Yeah, so this trap is the rack. We're there at the rack. We're at the guy who actually killed his son, was drunk driving and killed his son in the middle of the day. And he's on this. Here, you describe it. Yeah, what's going on with this rack?
So rack. This guy who was responsible for his son's death, I think his son's name was Dylan, because he screams it like 80 times in the movie. Again, the guy's committed, whoever plays Jeff. But he's strapped to this machine, which I guess I'd describe that like it pretty much like slowly like twists and snaps your limbs and shit, which is so creepy. But the key is tied to the trigger of a shotgun that's like enclosed in another case, and obviously if you get the key it's gonna go off. So that his dilemma is getting the key from the shotgun or letting the literal murder of his son twist to death. And God, when those, and we have the judge is with him too because the judge made it out, so he's in the sequence too. So I just think once that machine starts twisting, I felt that guy's pain. And I will say sound design in this sequence, A+ with the snapping of the limbs and the bones. I'm like, oh, the theater had a really, really, really loud reaction, visceral reaction to this sequence. I love it.
This is a borderline all-timer trap for me.
It's
the
so
sound
good.
Design and also the visuals, how they cut to the bones snapping for just long enough for you to get like a visual, and then it cuts away, and then you just continue to hear it, and the slow cranking. I mean, it takes forever, and it's like you're just waiting for the bones to break, and then when they finally break, you're like, oh my god, it's too late, and then
you see it like snapped out of his skin.
I love the my favorite part is the judge in this scene where he initially is inspecting the box, and he's just like, you gotta do something. I'm not fucking
literally
doing this. Like, this is you. Yeah.
I like what you said. I think the momentum of the machine, like the clicking in the machine, really, really amps up the suspense.
Yes.
On top of it just being gross and gory. So I feel like this trap might be one of my favorites too, because it has the elements of suspense that we know and love for the franchise, but it also has what we've come to know from the franchise, just like gross out gags, which is, so it's a good blend in this too. And
I'm usually not a fan of, like, in my overall trap rankings, of traps where the victim of the trap is helpless.
Yeah,
so
that's the theme of this movie.
The theme of this movie, it's the theme, I believe, of Saw 6 too, where a lot of the victims are kind of in the hands of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's just usually those aren't my favorite, but this one is just on another level because you have the guy, it's this poor guy is just stuck. He's got the contraption around his head, so you know eventually that's going to start twisting, and his screams and cries for help as his limbs are breaking. It's so freaking gruesome, and you're just like, Jeff, man. Like,
this is the only one because
I don't know.
This
is the only one, yeah. Because there's a literally shotgun staring down at you. And the way he does it though is literally the worst way you can handle it.
Takes up the judge nice and quick though.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But I will say to Jeff's credit in this one, this is the actual person who murdered your kid. Not murdered. I forget. He hit him with the car, right? By accident, whatever. I don't even know if it was it wasn't intentional. So this is the one who's responsible for his kid's death, and he does pretty much. I guess the judge is there to push him, but he does act up quicker than he does in the other tests. At least he tries. I would say at a certain point. But nobody's saved. The only one left after this trap is Jeff, because everyone else experienced excruciating death. In this
I don't
sequence.
think this is quicker, because by the time he's getting the key, I mean that guy's limbs are already snapped.
That guy's fucking.
Yeah, that guy's
he experienced so much torture. At least the judge went quick with the shotgun blast.
Yeah, so he takes the key off the fucking string, thinking that he can bypass the trap, and you can't bypass a jigsaw trap, man. Or it's they're pretty bulletproof, no pun intended. But so yeah, the judge is kind of silly, just standing there in the way.
I'm like, what are you doing, dude? He literally, I feel like he positioned himself like right when Jeff was starting to go for it too. Like, let me get in front of the shotgun. I'm like, dude, that's a never split up moment right there. What are you doing? But I do like how Jeff at the end, again, corny or not, he does, like, because he's just so done with this, he does scream, like, I forgive you. Like, he does forgive, the killer of his child.
Well, yeah, because I feel like he's kind of screaming out to Jigsaw, thinking that if he says it verbally, that he'll stop the trap, because he can't figure out where to put the key. And it's like, you fucking idiot, man. You spent all that time debating. At least you could have looked to see where the key thing was. And then by the time you got the key, but he made, like, barely an attempt. Because he was looking all around the body and stuff. It's like, dude, look behind the head. I'm sure it was right there behind the head. But so he eventually gives up because he realizes he's not going to have enough time. And that's when he's screaming, I forgive you, thinking that maybe it'll stop the events. But nope, he just watches as his neck twists. I think it was it 360 degrees? Does it come all the way back around again?
I believe it does pretty much. But like we know that like Amanda's responsible for these traps, so these poor people, there's no way especially this guy, there's no way he's getting out no matter what.
You don't think so? Because I mean the judge got out. You don't think that there was a way to get out?
I think that she even says about that. I forget what she says, but there's something. I don't think he would have gotten out of that one. The judge, I feel like, and the frozen girl, I feel like, had maybe a chance, but this guy, I feel like she kind of almost planned for the one who killed his son, to be dead no matter what, just to fuck with him even more after he chose forgiveness. Amanda's so fucked up. I love her so much. I fucking love her. I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah, I guess Amanda's plan was for him to not bring the judge with him and then to die by the shotgun while the guy dies by the trap, and then it's just a clean double kill.
She's getting rid of everybody in this movie. So talk about what do you think? So you thought the scene when she did like literally brain surgery on John Kramer in the bed was awesome. I thought that was cool too. She has that like moment with the saw too. That was pretty sweet. Lynn, she kills it. And Amanda's
again,
so
the sound
frantic.
design. The sound design is awesome, and carving into the skull with the grill and everything, and the circular saw, it's pretty gnarly. Yeah, this one's hard for me to watch. I mean, anything with the skull and the brain, and then when she takes off the piece of skull, it's like, oh my god, yeah.
And this is when Lynn tells John to order like Amanda to remove her, like because Lynn has like a collar thing around her. That's her trap the whole movie. She's like literally in a collar. So Amanda's like, yo, you saved him, but I'm still threatening your life because it's not good enough. You almost let him die. And she's you see throughout the movie that she's almost, I mean, again, John Kramer's testing her. So the way that Lynn and Kramer interact, you see Amanda in the background. Like she's very jealous of how he's treating her versus how he's treating Amanda. Because he's almost like starts talking down to Amanda again and treats her like a child. So I love, again, Shawnee Smith's performance of like throughout the movie. She's slowly building up because of that too, and she does snap, obviously, at the end.
Yeah, she snaps. It's very heartbreaking because it's almost like she can't even look at what she's doing. She just she can build these traps and kill people, but when she's face to face with someone, she puts her head down and just shoots Lynn. And of course, the big twist is Jeff arrives. And right at the same time. I love the twist. And, yeah.
She literally shoots Lynn into Jeff.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, this scene was very anxiety inducing too, because you don't know what was going to happen. You have John Kramer telling Amanda, "Please, Amanda, do not do this. Like, you will save all of us if you don't do this." And he's talking kind of cryptically because it's the last test for Amanda to find, like, please do not pull that trigger. And you really feel, at least I feel for John in this scene, because again, going back to what we were saying, he truly does believe that he can change these people and he can change Amanda,
Right.
and that she's his big success story. So in that moment where he's pleading for her and that she eventually fails her test, the look in his eyes and his face is of such disappointment that not only did Amanda fail, but he failed. I mean, his life's work is a failure in that moment because everything that he believed just came crashing down. He's not upset that he's going to die because he's going to die anyway. It's
Right.
the failure of his legacy and how it's not going to really matter. I mean, obviously, it gets a little more convoluted in the sequels
Right.
with when we find out he has more than two apprentices. But in this moment, he's like, you really feel kind of heartbroken for John because all of his reality is kind of shattered because he really did believe that Amanda was going to do the right thing in the end, I think.
Well, and I'm almost like John, like, stop being so fucking cryptic. You gotta let the girl know what's up. Obviously, you're testing her, but I almost agree with Amanda, who's like threatening to kill Lynn. And she's like, I don't believe in your bullshit philosophy. You're no better than me. Like, he was so upset because he finds out. Obviously, he knew because he's John Kramer. He's always one step ahead of the game. But she lets him know, like, I rigged those traps in the beginning with Troy and Carrie. Like, I don't believe in your philosophy. You're doing the same shit at me. It's murder. She calls him like, you're a murderer just like me. So she refuses to listen to his warnings, but also John, it's like, you know what you're dealing with. This is fucking Amanda. Like, what are you doing? So I do like how, like, John pretty much it's test for her because he refuses, I mean, in his own weird way, even though he does, I feel like, leave his legacy to an actual murderer. He doesn't want to leave his legacy to someone who doesn't follow his code and is just a straight up murderer, even though I feel like Hoffman is kind of like more like Amanda than Jigsaw, but I'll let that slide. But I do like how after, Lynn gets shot, we know right away it's the end for Amanda because once Jeff catches her, he's just going to shoot Amanda in the neck. And then my poor girl, probably my favorite, other than she's my favorite character of the franchise. She's so good. She gets shot in the neck and she's down the floor. And then we turn to, obviously, we find out that it wasn't really Lynn's test. Lynn's test was Amanda's test. And then we switch to the whole Jeff of it all. And he throws it over to Jeff to give him one last chance before he passes away. It's so good. I love when he hits the tape recorder after Jeff slices his throat. It's so good. And you have Lynn doing pretty much what Kramer was doing to Amanda, but in a more straight up way, like begging him, like, Jeff, you don't get it. Like, stop. Don't do it. She's literally telling him that the word, like, Kramer was doing his little, like, coded shit to Amanda. And, that's when Jeff, he just can't fucking listen and take a step back. So he leads to his wife's death, too. I love the shot of her head blown off, too. Poor girl. She was so sympathetic. But I do like how it plays it at the end when, I like, you said earlier that you almost wish that Jeff knew that the tests were maybe to find his daughter. I do love the gut punch at the end, like, I'm the only one who knows where your daughter is. And it's after he's dead. I love that. I got chills when that happens. You just see here, like, the little keyhole. I love that. And then it does. But I don't know how you feel. How do you feel about Jeff being the one who takes out Jigsaw? I'm assuming you're not a fan of him being the character who does that.
That's the ultimate freaking reason why I hate Jeff. It's like, really, he gets to do the fucking thing to kill John.
I feel like at least Lynn or Amanda should have had that honor.
I mean, if he was gonna go, I think he should have went on his own terms. I don't.
Which
think
he technically did.
Killed him.
Yeah,
he technically did, but
Jeff was holding the fucking.
Hate that Jeff is the one.
Yeah,
that
I knew. I kind of feel like after I was watching, I'm like, oh yeah, he's the one who like gets him in the end.
It's a little.
But I do love it. I love the twist. I think it's really like an amped up twist. I get.
Yeah, the twist is fine with the whole daughter. It's a callback to Saw 2. How he's holding the daughter. I mean. That's what's funny about John, because he says, I'm not a murderer, I'm innocent, I don't kill people. But it's like, Okay, even if people agree with you and you're not a murderer, you still
Which is
abduct like
ridiculous.
innocent children and stuff.
But and like
Yeah.
you're the only one who knows where she is, so the girl's in a like. Jeff is a dumbass. Like, you're really gonna put like this girl's fucking future in her dumbass dad's hands, where it's like she can starve, she can do whatever. I mean, thankfully they do find her. Spoiler alert in the future installment,
Yeah.
but I mean, John, you can't. John cannot know. John has to know in the back of his head, like, yo, I'm a murderer. Like, I feel like he says that as he goes to sleep at night. He's like, no, I am a murderer. I'm just spewing my shit. Because there's no way. I mean, come on. He's responsible for all of this. Own it,
Yeah.
dude. But yo, I really adore the ending to this one. I love the twist. I think, again, the original trilogy has the best twist endings of the entire franchise.
Okay, yeah. So that's Saw 3, guys. So we got through it, wrapping up the OG trilogy. And yeah, any other comments before we move on?
No, I'm just, like, again, these are my strongest entries in the franchise. I'm so happy that we're going to cover the rest of it, but I really think that no Saw has lived up to what this original trilogy did, and I really hope that Blumhouse, when they do come back, I feel like I think I read that they're not doing a hardcore like reboot, so it's still in the world, like everything exists. So I just hope that we really get back to what made Saw for me, in my opinion. So I wanted the heart, and I also do the one thing I want them to take from Saw X that I really adored, as I really loved the emotion of that one. So they can blend the OG trilogy with the emotion of that one. I think we're in for a real treat moving forward. So I wanted to go back.
No,
to
I mean,
this.
I personally love Saw X a lot more than 3. So
Okay.
I think they did kind of return the form. I mean, Saw X is my number 3 in
I
the
was gonna ask
ranking.
where that
So
was.
yeah, my top 3 is Saw 2, and Saw X.
Okay,
and,
okay.
Saw 5, and then Saw 3. So
Okay.
I'm not quite as high on this one as you, but I do think it's super, super solid. And if they made another sequel that's on par with, let's say, Saw 3, I will be super happy.
Yeah.
I think Jeff brings this movie down significantly because he's such an important factor, and it's just really hard to not even root for him, just care about him. He's just such a you just want to choke him. And then the fact that he gets to kill John at the end, it's like, God damn it, you know?
He's very stubborn.
Yeah. So, and yeah, that's it. Okay, let's get into our never split up moments. My moment is Jeff, just in general. No, I'm just kidding. I'll
Jeff,
let you,
the entire movie. You won the guys. Nolan, we had a Jaws never split up moment, and
Oh, we
Nolan
did?
won.
Oh, I
Yeah, you
didn't see that.
chose the mayor, keeping the beaches open even after Alex's death, and I
Yeah.
chose Quint destroying the radio when Brody was calling for help, and you did come out on top. So you do technically have the honors of picking whatever moment.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's so many moments. I have to go with Jeff. I would feel
Which
disingenuous if I didn't go with. I know, but it's almost like freaking. It's too many to choose from. I'll go with I'm trying to think of the one moment where I'm really just like internally
trying to think
screaming
of
at
what
the
you
TV.
said throughout the episode of like.
I think the biggest one for me is it's tough because the teddy bear, like just burn the teddy bear, but he ends up saving him. So it's
Right.
not really a never split up moment because he does end up doing the job. I'm going to go with the first room, the freezer room. I think that is like borderline one of, if not the easiest traps to just get through and save this poor woman. And the fact that it's his first room, he's freaked out still, but like your initial reaction is to just like you said, like mock this lady. That really shows me his true colors. I think if he would have saved her fairly easily, and then maybe had more conflicting thoughts about the other two, I think it would have played a little bit better. But the fact that he just right off the bat just pretty much lets this woman die, and it's such an easy trap to escape, that I have to go with that moment.
Okay, I like it. Or it would have been also awesome to see Jeff just like hardcore own it the whole time and show no sympathy at all, and just be this guy who's
that
out
would
for
have been
revenge.
better. I
Like
think
that would have been
yeah.
interesting too
If
to
he
have
just leaned
like
into the villain of it all.
yeah, someone who's not redeemable at all. That would have also been cool. But I like that moment. I'm going to go with one that not a lot of people are going to say because I love my girl Carrie, and I think that she was stupid as a cop in that room where she's literally sees the TV pop up with the camera from the closet and she walks towards the closet instead of calling for backup, getting out of that room instantly. She could have still ended up being trapped, but she really gave herself no tramp. She gave herself no chance to escape that because she didn't put her back against a wall, which is why Amanda was able to come back and drug her. She knows the MO of them getting drugged and taken, so she's familiar with these cases. So I feel like she really showed not being prepared for a situation that she's been preparing for since, the OG movie. So I'm always bummed. I'm like, you're better than this girl. So I don't like that she goes towards the closet. So that's gonna be my dumb moment. What did you think about? I forgot to ask. I feel like most of the Saw movies, besides actually, I think the OG and 3, this one doesn't open with the trap like pre a title drop. You get check in with Eric Matthews, whereas Saw 2 opens with the trap, Saw 4 opens with the trap. Did you mind that? Because I liked that we checked in with Eric Matthews' opening scene right away.
No, I didn't mind it. It's not something that really struck me like watching it. I think it's pretty cool to go back. I mean, it's always fun to go back to that OG bathroom.
Yeah.
Anytime we can do that.
And I love me of returning characters, so I love people like their opening, like hoorah, like traps. So I've got to get that people. Yeah, but yeah, that's my moment.
No, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, Carrie, come on, you're better than that girl.
All right, let's get to our scores then. I don't remember what I scored the first two, but I'm just going to wing this.
Okay.
I'm just going to go with my gut in the moment here. So, as we just said, Saw 3 is a really solid entry. It's Amanda Young at her best. Shawnee Smith is her best acting in the franchise, I think. It's got some pretty interesting characters. Like you said, Lynn Denlin is pretty memorable. And then obviously John Kramer with some of his monologues, especially at the end of the film, is iconic. It's not the most memorable in terms of Jeff's game. So like I said, a couple of the traps are, while they're gruesome, they're not like what I want from a Saw trap. So that's where it kind of deducts a little points. Like I said, it's number 5 in my ranking out of 10 movies.
Top tier though, top
and
half.
It's right borderline top tier. I love this franchise. I'm gonna give this an 8.5 out of 10. 8.5. Yeah, just super solid.
I believe your OG was in like the high, like I don't know if it was a 9.6, and I know Saw 2 was in the 9s too, like low 9s, I believe.
Yeah, I think they were both in the 9s. Yeah.
I think my OG Saw was like an 8.8 or an 8.9, and Saw 2 was like a 9 or something, somewhere around there. So
yeah,
I adore this one too. Obviously, it's not as high as those two, but the original trilogy to me are pretty much neck and neck. I'm also going to give this one an 8.5. I really, really, really adore this one a lot, and I do think this was, this is the height of the franchise in my opinion. So I'm excited to cover the rest of it. I had fun talking about the OG trilogy. I can't wait to get to the rest of them. We have a lot more to go.
Yeah, we do. These movies are just so rewatchable.
Oh yeah,
they're so great. I have the box set.
Have you ever done a marathon like back to back to back to back to back? Like, have you ever done that?
Yeah, we did. So when Jackie has never seen these movies, so I introduced her to Saw a couple years back. I think when we were first getting into covering the franchise on the podcast, we watched the first Saw together, and it intrigued her. So we did a whole watch. We didn't watch Spiral. It was funny. Spiral she had watched. It was the only one she watched for some reason. She went and saw it or something. Okay. But all the others, so we watched them all back to back. So yeah, it was over, a couple weeks, obviously, but that was a fun time. Yeah, I liked it. And that was what helped solidify my rankings too.
Okay.
Which really helped me with my rankings when we did those. So okay, guys, that's about it. Again, be sure to stick around next week for our big episode on Halloween Kills featuring Phil from Phil at the Movies. Then we have our 100th episode coming up. Couple quick announcements. If you didn't hear last week, we have a giveaway going on our Twitter or X profile. It ends in October. I believe it ends the 6th. So we have 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks to enter that contest. We're giving away a few John Carpenter Blu-rays and a cool Never Split Up hat, snapback hat. So definitely enter that. And we have a merch shop that's online. Check out that. The links are all in our social media profiles, and you can pick up a hoodie or, t-shirt or hat or whatever, a beanie for the colder weather coming up. So check that out as well. But until next time, this is the Never Split Up podcast, and we will see you later, guys. Bye.